United Kingdom is completely cooked. 167,000 students failed their maths GCSE last year. That means 167,000 16-year-olds could not complete an exam where you were asked to write 0.7 as a fraction. What kind of imbecility, lack of cognitive ability are you possessing that you cannot write 3% as a decimal? These are actual questions from the paper.
I can explain why. It's because 1/3 of students have to fail the GCSE. Let me explain. The GCSE is not really like many other exams. So for example, if you went to go take your UK driving theory test, you would need to get 43 out of 50 multiple choice questions correct. And if you didn't, you fail. But you know what the pass mark is, and you know what you need to achieve to meet the requirement that is the DVLA's requirement. But the GCSE is not like that. The GCSE is norm regulated, meaning that the pass mark is not told to you before the assessment. Everybody sits the exam, and then only after everybody's done the exam do they then set where that pass mark is going to be. Now, everyone could have done quite well on the GCSE, and if that happens, the exam board will say, well, 1/3 has to fail, so we'll put the pass mark here, and we'll say that this is a grade 4, and anything less than that does not achieve the pass that is sort of required at GCSE Maths or English, and anything above that has passed. But you don't know where that will be before the assessment, and everyone could have done quite well, and yet 1/3 still has to fail. To go back to my driving example from earlier, it would be like if 20 people took their driving test and they all met the requirements for the driving test. They didn't get more than 15 minors or one major in the driving test. They all did quite well. It would be like then the examiner saying, well, these 10 people or these 15 people, they did the best, right? They had the least amount of faults in their driving, so they're going to pass, and the rest of you are going to fail. Even though you'd all met the requirement, some of you have to fail because we can't pass too many people. It might be at this point you're asking yourself, well, why are the GCSEs like this? Well, the GCSEs were first created in 1988, and they were to revolutionise the UK education system back before it was O-levels. And when the GCSEs came in, they were proving quite successful, and results kept going up year on year. But some people were saying, oh, that's because the quality of teaching's got better and students are performing better. Whereas some people were saying, no, it's because the GCSEs are getting easier. So because some people thought that the GCSEs were getting easier, they decided to norm regulate them, meaning that the grade boundaries are set after everybody has done them, and at the time they decided that 1/3 would not achieve the pass mark, which was a C at the time, now a grade 4, and it has stuck to around 1/3 ever since then. It slightly deviates year on year, because obviously you're not going to ever get exactly 1/3 because many people might have the same score, but it's there or thereabouts. Now, I've seen students get every grade at GCSE. I've seen students get no grade at all. I've seen students get all the way up to a grade 9 at GCSE Maths as a teacher, and a lot of that comes from student effort. If a student wants and really tries, they tend to do better at the GCSE than a student who doesn't care at all and doesn't want to get that GCSE. But that can be all loads and loads of other factors why that might happen. Parents have a huge influence on student motivation. Other external factors could have happened that affects a student. I've seen students go through horrible experiences just before their exams, and they were predicted to do really well and end up failing their GCSE. But they weren't stupid, like maybe the person in this video was suggesting. It's just that it didn't work out for them because of other things that happened. They might have not been feeling well on that day. I've seen students who have worked really, really hard to get that grade 4, but they just don't work well with numbers. It just doesn't settle in right. You know what I mean? They're such a hard worker, but it just doesn't come to them maybe naturally as other people. And so, even though they're not stupid, they're really hard working and academic, I think, it's really easy to write them off and say, oh, they're stupid because they failed their GCSE, when in actual fact they put in every effort to get that grade 4. So the reason why I made this video is just to basically say we shouldn't immediately categorise people as being stupid for failing their GCSEs. Okay, there might be loads of factors that have gone into the reason why they didn't fail, and in fact 1/3 has to fail. So it's even more reason to sort of say, okay, well, why did that student not get that grade 4? And then maybe by understanding why, we can then help that student to get that grade 4 when they have to resit in college or whatever they do post 16. So it's really important because, resit pass rates are very, very low. And so it's very difficult when you didn't quite get it the first time to have the support and the encouragement you need to then pass it the second time. And if everybody around you is saying that you're stupid, I think that totally ruins what we are trying to do as teachers, which is we want students to pass their GCSEs. Of course we do. And if they have to resit it and get it right the next time, then so be it. People fail their driving tests 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times before they pass on the 9th time. But we don't completely write off that person because they we don't say they can't drive forever because they failed their driving test the first time. We encourage that person, we get back on the bike and in the car and they go for it again. And so we should do the same with people who fail their GCSEs in maths. If they don't achieve that grade 4, we should encourage students to then achieve that grade 4. So I think it's just about educating ourselves a bit more on how the GCSE works. And the fact is, if 1/3 has to fail, then there's got to be students out there that did try their best and actually did well, but there has to be a cut-off point somewhere, and they didn't make the cut-off point to get that grade 4 that they needed. So I just thought I'd make this video to explain that.